I have a very important update on several key stocks that I'm following. In this video, I'm going to go over Tesla, Palantir, and my portfolio. I also want to talk about options and selling put options for income. So we're going to cover all that in this video. We're going to get right to the point. When you smash nothing, like nothing, subscribe to nothing, let's just talk about the market. Now, I also want to come clean about maybe some mistakes that I've made. I want to talk about my portfolio results and just be fully transparent with you on what I'm thinking is going on in the market right now. So I want to start off with my portfolio. It's sitting at right under 4 mil, and this is a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, it's been a lot of volatility in the market. And I'm actually very excited because a lot of the market is recovering, and I'm already seeing lots of recovery. A lot of the students are seeing recovery. So this is amazing. And I think that in yesterday's video, I talked about tariffs and how they're just going to be transitory. The tariff situation looks like it's only going to affect the market for, maybe several more months. But at some point in 2025, we're going to continue to see a bull market, in my opinion. We've seen that from Tom Lee. We've seen that from several analysts on Wall Street. And I'm very excited about the innovation going on with Nvidia, Palantir, Apple. But let's just go step by step here. So going over Palantir, it's at $89 per share. And this stock has had a pretty solid bottom actually right here at, just about $76 per share. And this stock had a really big bounce. So that's very good for investors, obviously. I think what's going on with Palantir is that we'll probably see the stock back at $100 per share, and I think that's the value of the company. I do believe that it was a little bit overvalued when it was over $120 per share, and that's just not where the stock can be for now because the fundamentals don't support that. The valuation is just a little too high. So, the market got overheated here. And right now with the recovery, I think we're going to see some more upward momentum, but at some point we're going to slow down. So that's what the recovery looks like for Palantir. Actually, in my portfolio, I have a Palantir covered call option, which I've sold. And I'm looking at creating as much income as possible right now. Because of the volatility and the choppy market, I'm neither a bear nor am I super, super bullish right now. I do think there's a huge opportunity to invest, but I'm investing cautiously. So I'm putting as much money as I can to work, although it says my buying power here is 1.1 mil. If I look at my actual cash, it's not going to be that much. It's going to be, about 200K on a 4 mil account. It's about 5% cash. So I don't have a whole lot of cash right now in my portfolio because I'm fully invested and I have full belief that the market is going to do very well. And I am buying both SPY and QQQ, essentially dollar cost averaging into both because again, I do see an opportunity in the market and I think that the tariffs are just going to be transitory. So we've covered Palantir, and I think Palantir, you have two things that you can do. I think selling put options at the $80 level, looks good to me. Several different expiration dates that you can go for, of course. And the covered call side, I would say that you can just collect aggressive income by going for something like a 90 covered call. 90 covered call is going to be very aggressive income. Let's go over to Nvidia. Nvidia has been a very stable stock, and over the past month, this stock is down 12.72%, which, is a fair amount of money to lose on a big company like Nvidia. I don't think a lot of people expected Nvidia to pull back this much, but it presents a very good opportunity at under $120 per share. Nvidia is still providing the infrastructure to AI. I'm very bullish on Nvidia overall, and what they did during the GTC event was anything short from remarkable. I'm sure you guys have already looked into that and watched videos on it, so I'm not going to cover the event too much, but I see a lot of innovation for Nvidia, and that's really exciting. So under $120 per share, I think is a no-brainer investment, and clearly the stock was just way too cheap, under $110 per share. So Nvidia, I think, for the rest of 2025, I think we're going to see a increase in Nvidia over $135 per share, and that's probably the level that I would be selling covered calls going out 6 months into the end of the year. Now, Nvidia could, increase a lot more, but by the end of the year, I expect us to basically go up back to the levels that we were trading at an all-time high. Maybe not that much more, but that's kind of what I see going on. And in the beginning of the year, many analysts, they promised that we would get 20% growth. We saw Tom Lee come on, say, we're going to get 20% growth. We saw Dan Ives do the same thing. And I still believe that despite the volatility, despite the tariff issues and concerns and what's going on politically, maybe on the Elon Musk side, on the Donald Trump side, I still think we're going to see a lot of improvement because at the end of the day, uncertainty is going to go away. At some point, we're going to see what the actual situation is. What are the solutions? And looking at the GDP growth in the economy, it's very strong. So, there's only one way it's going to go up. It's not a question of if it's going to go up. It's just when is it going to go up? Which is why when I look at comments that say, you looked at Tesla at these high levels and now I'm underwater. Well, if you're hedging yourself using options, despite the stock being down a lot, you can save a lot of money. I did make a video yesterday, and I want to talk about some of the videos I've been making recently. But the losing money on sell puts or calls is a must-watch video. And I'll summarize this whole video. I'm trying to pack as much knowledge and information in a very short video. But if you want to save money on a volatile market, it's through selling puts and covered calls. Selling puts, you collect income to get into stocks. So when stocks are pulling back, that's the good time to really invest. And when there's a lot of enthusiasm in the market, that's maybe not the best time to invest. So if you want to really save yourself money and create income at the same time and generate that passive income, retirement income, regardless of the market volatility, I mean, it is possible. You're still going to see some fluctuations in your portfolio, of course. We're not bond investors. We're not CD investors. We're stock market investors. So of course, we're going to see some volatility. And I admit that I bought Tesla for, I actually had Tesla 218 and then I bought more of it as it went up. And I ended up having a profit on Tesla. So I made money, but I get it because some people come into the channel a little bit later and they see me recommending it a little bit higher. I admit, I want to own up to saying that I think Tesla's going to be at 500. Is it going to be at 500 at the end of the year? Well, we still have a lot of time, but it's not really looking as likely anymore. So that was one of the trades that really didn't go as well as I would want it to. But being honest, my average cost was about 218, and then I increased the price. So maybe it was like 240, and I ended up selling at 290 with covered calls. And my Discord community saw that trade execute. So I talked about it like 2 or 3 Mondays ago. Speaking about Tesla, let's go over the technical analysis right now because this stock is recovering. So again, like pullbacks don't last. So when people get all upset, I get it, but it's just like a short-term thing. Like the market's of course going to pull back, and even if Elon's not really paying all the attention to Tesla, it's still a good company. They still have tons of data. They still have a good brand, albeit some issues here and there, but long term, these companies make money because it's beyond even brand. It's a whole huge team of people working on products, innovation, brand, marketing, and all of this just drives a company, and the customers are still there, and I think they're still going to be there. So I would say that Tesla is a good investment, and I said that in the 2 videos ago, I think, and I'm saying that, actually I said it right here on March 18th, and so far Tesla's had a really good return here. By the way, one more thing I want to own up to, and I'm actually going to go into this specific position, is the top 5 stocks I said to buy here. One of them was Nike. So again, I want to admit and be transparent. Like, I made some mistakes. Although I'm kind of like, I don't know how to say it, but like, quenching or wincing or whatever with your eyes. The reason I'm doing that is because although it's kind of like a short-term loss, I don't really have any concern over Nike in the long term. And although some of these companies like Tesla or Nike are slightly down, it's really not an issue. Like, it's not even close to an issue. These companies will come back up. Now, I have an average cost on Nike at $74 per share, and I just sold a 70 covered call like maybe like 20 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago or 2 hours ago, and I collected $1,400, and I bought back the previous 75 and 82 covered call, which I actually collected a lot of money on. I mean, I can go into my history. You guys like transparency, so let's look into the history real quick. I sold the covered call on Nike here and here, and yeah, it saved me like $6,000, and then I just bought both of them back, and I sold a new one and a Nike dividend. So I think this is a really good company to get into right now, and I just sold a 70 covered call. So that's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just the guy that's made tons of money option trading in the long term. Maybe in the short term I might look not like that good or whatever, but trust me, like, I've grown my portfolio to 3.8 mil. Just because it was at 4.5 mil and it went down to 3.8, I still started with like 10, 20, 30K. Well, my first year I had like 2K, and then I put in some money to it, but still, like, the results should pretty much speak for themselves despite the volatility, which I understand it's frustrating. And humans, we all have a recency bias, and it's not been easy to be an investor, but it is easy long-term to be an investor. Just there are periods of fluctuation. So we've talked about Palantir, we've talked about Nvidia, we've talked about Tesla, which if I had to put a price target on Tesla, probably 300 now. So again, I'm wildly off, but Tesla's also the most volatile company like ever. So I'm still bullish on it long-term. Now let's go over Apple. And I also had a couple more positions that I wanted to go over in my portfolio because today is an expiration date. Apple is at 214.57, and Apple is actually one of the best companies ever. It just, no one on YouTube really covers Apple. Apple because it's just not really a sexy company that people really care for. But I want you to understand that this is one of the best companies to invest in because Apple has like billion plus phones in the world, has amazing brand. And at the level that it's at right now, it's pretty much at a very low point. I want to go over my Apple position briefly, and I want to show you some options around Apple. And the options are very interesting on Apple because they allow, I don't know what the heck, why does it say, why does it say $68? Let me refresh this. Robinhood can be weird. By the way, I do have Robinhood stock as well. So I sold some put options on Robinhood and I will be getting assigned on some Robinhood shares. So I'm not sure if you guys want me to cover that position, but I'm trying to keep it to my biggest positions. Robinhood's a small position for me. Apple's a massive position for me, $214 per share. And I just recently sold 215 covered calls, which expire in April. So I'm very interested to see what will happen with Apple. And, you know, I'm up today on the stock and I'm actually up on the options as well. I've hedged using some call credit spreads. But overall, I think the best strategy will be to just sell put options on Apple, especially if you have cash, which a lot of people probably do with the market pulling back and some fears that, you know, the tariff concerns could be here for a lot longer. Maybe we're in a bear market, but I really think that the market is either going to go sideways from this point or higher. And I'm a perma bull, guys. I get it. I mean, I'm bullish no matter what. And I think that's a smart thing to do because I have a degree in this stuff and there's proof that dollar cost averaging is the #1 strategy and being a long-term bull is also much better than being a bear. When I look at Apple, I think we've hit a really key support level. Honestly, like the support here is very strong for Apple. You have a pretty big bounce from 210 level essentially. And I think that the stock, you know, if you look at the 1-year chart, I think we can come back to $245 per share in the next 6 to 12 months. And if you think about the risk to return, you know, ratio on that to get a 30% move on Apple, or not 30% move, a $30 move, which would be about a 15% move, I think that's amazing. If you look at a company like Apple, they're very safe, and getting a 15% move in 6 months is some really, really good stuff. So I'm very bullish on Apple. I really encourage you to watch this video right here because it talks about selling puts and covered calls and managing both of those strategies effectively. And that's the best thing that you can do in really any market, whether it's a bull market, a bear market, or a sideways market. And even a few years ago, we had a kangaroo market. Regardless of the market, selling puts and covered calls is proven to have a better risk-adjusted return, which is safer than stock market investing. So I highly recommend that you guys check out more of my option trading videos. This is what I've been doing for over a decade. And yeah, I'll put up on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.